The Oklahoman is taking a look at Oklahoma City's near-record number of homicides in 2012. The last reported homicide in Oklahoma City on December 27th was the 99th of the year. There were 10 other homicides in the first 3 weeks of December. The city's record number of homicides was 102, set back in 1979. The Oklahoman's Bryan sat down with Oklahoma City Police Chief Bill Citty to talk about the causes and strain on the department.
Obviously, we had a high year this year, one of the highest we've had probably since sometime in the 80s. We had a homicide rate. We had 99 homicides. So it's last year we had 60, so we had 39 more this year than we had last year. And if you break it down, if you look for the motives on most of the homicides that we had this year, you can really break it down into about 4 different categories that really accounted for most of that, and that was gang-related homicides. This year we had 28 that had some form of gang relationship, and last year we had 14, so it doubled. So you had 14 more. You had self-defense, what we classify as somebody that has taken a life in defending themselves in self-defense, and you had say 10 of those, and last year we had none. We had 0. So that accounts for 10 more. Now we also had robberies. Deaths related to armed robberies went up considerably. We had 1 last year. In 2011 we had 12 last year. So you had 11 more. So if you take all those into account, you had within 4 different categories. One of them also being officer involved, where we worked 6 officer involved homicides. 4 from our department, 2 from other departments within our city, where we only had 1 last year, or 2 last year. So you had 4 more. If you take those 4 categories, they account for 39 homicides, additional homicides compared to last year. Coupled with the fact we had 60 last year, that puts you right at 99. So you can really use those 4 categories in the areas. And one of them being gang violence. Gang violence, our drive-bys went up. We had almost 200 drive-bys. We had actually gotten our drive-bys down over the years down to about 100. And last year we saw that go up significantly. So, there's a lot of concerns, obviously, based on some of those things we're seeing and the motives and the reasons why we've had the assaults. Again, like I've said before, as far as homicides go, we may be considerably lower next year. It's hard to say. You don't want to use 1 year as a trend, and I hope this isn't a trend. And if
and they do go up and down quite a bit.
They go up and down quite a bit from year to year. We've had years where we've had 60, we've had years we've had 35, and they've gone up to 50 or 60. Most likely we'll have fewer homicides next year. But what I really like to look at as far as a trend is look at it long term. And if you look at our assaults, and homicide is basically an assault with the worst consequence. But if you look at our aggravated assaults, our serious assaults, really over the last 10 years, the long-term trend is that they've gone up every year. And so that does concern me. And that level of violence just with assaults is a good indicator that there's an issue there that we need to address.
As far as what you guys can do about it, obviously you have all kinds of long-term programs, but in the short term, is it just a matter of trying to shuffle resources and put them in the places where they're going to do the most good?
Right. Over the years, we've increased our gang units. We've doubled the size of our gang units, so we have our street gang units out there working gangs a lot more than we used to. But we've also added overtime programs. We've actually used overtime money to work gangs. We've got a new program that we're starting that's really going to try to work some of use some overtime funding to pay officers to work just our violent crime areas, specifically where we're having a lot of the assaults, to see if we can't reduce that some. Because really, if we have the resources and the visibility, and you get some of the guns off the street and get some of the bad people in jail, then those assaults are going to go down, and so will the homicides as a result of that.